another bit of good news, Dave, because we're going to go over to Manchester now. In your
Manchester.
area.
Yeah.
Manchester, once again. And again, folks, this is old news, but we haven't covered it on the podcast. And I think it is worthy of covering. Dave Collins, Sankeys Manchester reopened late last, or is reopened this year. This is credit of Marissa, is that Chetin? Yeah, Marissa Chetin of DJ Mag. Whilst this is old news now, we actually didn't cover this, so we wanted to include it here to do a little recap of this wonderful news. And that, yeah, as mentioned, Marissa Chetin writes, quote, Manchester clubbing institution Sankeys will return after nearly a decade. A decade, Dave. A decade. Nearly a decade with a new location next year, aka this year. After teasing a comeback this past summer, the new Sankeys will open at a to-be-revealed 500 capacity venue in Manchester City Centre at the end of January 2026. More on that later. The space will have a stripped-back basement-style feel with a chill-out second room, according to the press release, and be fitted with Sankeys' signature LED matrix grid installation.
Yeah, that was great, that.
There will be no VIP or phones allowed on the dance floor. Everyone is a VIP, end quote. From creative director David Vincent, who said in a press release, quote, people need to stop taking pictures and start dancing to the beat, end quote.
I've got something to say about that, but keep going. Yeah.
Okay. Aside from the opening weekend festivities on the 30th and 31st of January, Sankeys will open on Saturdays. Sankey Saturdays will start from 7th of February, and the Tribal Sessions residency will return for the new era on a monthly basis. Lineup and booking details are to come, though Sankeys promises programming in line with its legacy of hosting, quote-unquote, the next generation of electronic music stars. Previous performers include the Chemical Brothers, Daft Punk, Jamie Jones, the Martinez Brothers, Solomon. Who else, Dave? You know, you saw them.
Above and Beyond.
Yep, and many more. Sankeys Manchester closed its Beehive Mill site in 2017 after the venue was sold to property developers. Sankeys Ibiza and Essex venues also closed in 2018 and 2017, respectively. The brand has continued as a promoter, often in London since. In June, the Sankeys team hinted at a new iteration in Manchester with a vague Instagram post captioned, hello Manchester, ... It's been a while. And some fantastic news coming on here. And actually, to add on to that, and before we get to your comment, Dave, I'll just quickly have this playing in the background. Hold it. I've just paused it here. Hang on, let me refresh the page. Hang on. Okay. So whilst we quickly discuss this, let me just quickly get rid of this, and we'll have this playing in the background because there is copyrighted music in it. Dave Collins, what did you want to say?
Well, let's look at this first, actually. Is this the concept?
Yep. This is a quick sneak preview. I immediately think Sankeys, but I also kind of think of like Tron, you know? It's so like Tron-like, you know?
So this is going way back, but I remember, was Sankeys the first like club you went to?
No. I think it was the first major one I went to in Manchester.
Right, because I remember we got a train from Chester
to
go to like some random house night in Sankeys sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I really did like that venue. It was awesome. And they had, what they've done with the roof there is very similar to how it used to be, from what I recall. And they used to have a big LED wall with like these big domes on it as well. I've got some videos and pictures of the old one somewhere. And they had such a weird setup. It's the only place I've been to where they had like a cinema outside, which is just great. It was awesome.
Yes. And you've mentioned that in previous episodes about the creativity that went into that chill out area, right, Dave?
Yeah, I just remember getting a drink outside, and they had like deck chairs and a fake beach, and then there's like three stoners watching Star Wars. And I was like, brilliant. This is sick.
Yeah, it's it's quirky stuff like that in clubs that we love because it's so fun, and we have covered that quite a bit in some places.
It is sad that that was from a different time, right? This was back when the iPhone had just launched, like I'm talking about. But like the scene's changed so much now. Them having to ban phones to try and bring that back, that old vibe, is a bit
Mm.
sad, right? But the reason I sort of said I got something to say is like I was on YouTube today and Armin put up a video up in the past couple of days of this new State of Trance gig thing.
Yeah.
And it looks technically phenomenal. But there's so many people in this like arena, and none of them are like some of them are dancing. And I couldn't even blame the music because he really does like punch it as much as he could. And I'm like, no one's dancing. Everyone's just on their phone. Everyone's just sort of shuffling.
Oh.
And then I went back because I've got it bookmarked on my profile. I went back and looked at the video for ASOT 400.
Ah.
And they're tearing that club apart. It's brilliant. Everyone's just going wild. You know what I mean? I'm like, how do we go from that to this? Do people just not dance anymore? Like, is it more of a cultural thing? Do you know what I mean?
Well,
I wish I could put both side by side, mate, because it's so staggering. And you're like, wow.
yeah.
People just changed. I don't get it.
Well, there are those that do say that the idea of the no phones policy is making a positive change on the dance floor because it doesn't force people, but it strongly encourages people to get off the phone, and people do state that it's having a positive effect on the dance floor because I know Solid Grooves in Ibiza at DC10 last year, I think it was. Michael Beebe basically put that in as a no phones policy there, and a lot of people were speaking about how good the parties were, and I think it was suggested essentially that it was because of the no phones policy. But from what you've seen from these early iterations of the club, I mean, obviously, we're talking in March now, so obviously it has already opened up. But I'm just trying to grab a hold of some excellent content here, if you like, and yeah, we've got some. Let me.
This looks good. I like the style of lights. It's got that cool vibe to it. I like the fact it's 500 people as well. It's not so big that it's like hard to fill, but it's small enough to have a vibe. Yeah, I think it works.
I think it works really well as well. I 100% agree, and it's almost like and this is a courtesy of Sankeys official with the caption saying, "quote a recap of our 6th night back in Manchester. The energy was on point from start to finish. What a night!" I would actually agree and say, when it comes to like our discussions of like to make the perfect club in the UK, I would say this pretty much ticks all of it, right? Because limited
It's
space.
nostalgic for me. Yeah. The thing about clubs, which is really difficult in my opinion, is it needs to be big, but it not so big that it loses the atmosphere of being a club.
Bingo.
I watched a video again today, YouTube algorithm, and it was David Guetta, and he was giving out like DJ tips, and he said something that was really sort of prominent. And he said, when you play a festival, you have to play really high energy music because the crowd is huge. Do you know what I mean? And that usually means that you tend to veer towards like commercial EDM, right? Because that's got a lot of EDM's got a lot of high energy built into it. Or like techno, right? This is the big thing now. But in a club, you don't have to slam out as much energy. You've got time to create a playlist and get a bit experimental and a little bit weird because you're only playing to a small room. So you don't have to, if you're playing to like 50,000 people, I don't know, a crap ton of people, you can't play a weird, interesting, experimental set because the energy will just get, the people at the back will get bored. They're like, I can't even hear it, mate. What's going on?
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
But in a small club, a club that not like so small, but like a medium-sized club like this, you can craft those weird sets. And I've even said it before, some of the best sets I've ever been to is room 2 in the club. Because the main room's got other stuff going on, but the room 2's like a shoebox. And the shoebox room tends to have some weird experimental stuff going on. Because
Yes.
although it's small and experimental, the room's so small that there's enough energy there to keep it vibing. But if the room was like 4 times the size, that set wouldn't work anymore. And I sort of understood what he was on about. I was like, yeah, I get it. Because how many times have you seen a DJ in a club? And how many times have you seen the same DJ at a festival? And they've played completely different sets.
Bingo. And I think you're bang on the money there, aren't you? And you're absolutely right, because of course, yeah, if you have the luxury of being in a club where there are multiple rooms, yeah, I completely agree. We've often found that if we go to these nights, we often do end up being either in room 2 or 3 just because it's
Like as
smaller,
DJs, we find it
you know?
interesting, don't we? It's like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
we've heard all the bangers before, but what interests us as like music dweebs is when the DJs do something that's a bit like weird and off key, and you go, oh shit, that's really cool, you know?
Yeah.
Like
100%, and you're absolutely right, and it's yeah, I don't know, it's funny though. I don't know why I just didn't think about that before, but yeah, that's that's definitely something to take away from what we've seen, early signs of the Sankeys party. But yeah, that is sort of the end of the good news, I'll say, and